Good morning to everyone. I'm Dr. Sumi MS. The name of the course is Object Oriented Programming, and today's lecture topic is Data Types, Variables from Unit 1, Introduction to OOP and Java. On completion, the students will be able to list down the different data types in Java and the initialization as well as declaration, and also write down Java programs with variables of different data types. Data types. A data type is used to allocate sufficient memory space for data. Data types specify the different sizes and values that can be stored in the variable. Java is a strongly typed programming language because every variable must be declared with a peculiar data type. A variable cannot start off without knowing the range of values it can hold, and once it is declared, the data type of the variable cannot change. So once a variable is being declared with a particular data type, the variable can store values of that data type alone. And once the variable is being declared, sufficient memory will be allocated for that variable based on the type of data type that is being used for declaration. Data types in Java are of two types: primitive data types, that is intrinsic or built-in data types, and the other one is non-primitive data types, which are also called as derived or reference type of data type. The primitive data types include boolean, char, byte, short, int, long, float as well as double. And non-primitive data types include classes, interfaces, strings and arrays. So these are a derived type of data of the primitive type. Primitive data types. Primitive data types are those whose variables allow us to store only one value and never allow us to store multiple values of the same data type. The most popular 8 primitive data types in Java are int, short, long, byte, which belong to integer type of data type and can store integer values, and float and double are for storing decimal or floating point data, and the other one char as well as boolean. So a char is a popular data type to store character values. Derived data types or reference types. Derived data type are those whose variables allow us to store multiple values of the same data type. They never allow storing multiple values of different data types. And the value of a reference type variable, in contrast to that of a primitive type, is that it is a reference to, or it can store the address of, it can refer to the address of a value or a set of values that is being stored in another variable. So in the case of a derived data type like an array, it can store multiple values, but these values must belong to the same data type which is being used for declaring the array. In this example 1, an array A is declared as an integer data type and it is storing integer values. This is a valid representation. Whereas in the second example, we have declared an array B as integer, but the values that are stored are int as well as char and string values, which is not valid. Variables. A variable is a named piece of memory that is being used for storing data in Java program. So once a variable is declared, it is being allocated a memory for storing data in it based on the type of data type that is being used for the declaration. A variable is an identifier that is used for storing a data value. A variable may take different values at different times during the execution of the program, unlike constants. So the value of a constant is fixed, whereas in the case of variable, its value can be altered, but they must belong to the same data type. The variable's type determines what values it can hold and what operations can be performed on it. Here comes the syntax to declare variables: data type, the variable name and the value. So an example of variable declaration is given below: int average height, total height. So here average height and total height are variable names that are declared with a data type int. That means these values can store integer values. Rules followed for variable names. A variable name must begin with a letter and it must be a sequence of letters or digits, and they shouldn't begin with a digit at the starting. And uppercase and lowercase variables are not the same. That means this is case sensitive. So in this example, a variable name with capital T total and the same total with small first letter T are two different variables and are distinct. And the name of the variable shouldn't be a predefined keyword that is present in Java, and white space is not allowed, and variable names can be of any length. Initializing variable. After declaring a variable, it must be initialized by means of an assignment statement. It is not possible to use the values of uninitialized variables. So once a variable is not initialized, then it will show an error while we are using it in the program. So two ways to initialize a variable. A variable can be initialized after declaration, or we can declare and initialize a variable on the same line. So in the first case, the data type name, following that variable name is given for declaration, and in the second line variable name is being assigned a value, that is initialization. So in this example, int month, where month is the name of the variable and int is the type of data it can store. And in the second line for initialization, month is being assigned to the value integer 1. Then the second type of initializing variables is declare and initialize on the same line. So the syntax is given as data type followed by variable name which is assigned a value, that is int months is equal to 12. So here months is the variable name and int is the type of data type, and this variable is being assigned a value 12 along with the declaration. Let us see an example program that computes the remainder of division operation. So here a class is being declared, that is find remainder is the class, and within braces we have the main function, and also here certain integer variables are being declared and initialized. Following that, here num and din are the integer variables that are declared and initialized with values, and in the next line another integer variable rem is being declared which is being assigned to a expression, that is to calculate the remainder of the division operation for the variables num and din. And the next line gives the output statement to print the remainder. So here system class and its function out are being used in the output statement, and we have obtained the output, that is remainder is 1 in the upper program. So there are three variables num, den and rem which are integers. Num and den are initialized by constants while declaration itself, whereas rem is initialized dynamically by the modulo division operation that is being carried out on the integers num and din. Quiz questions on data types variables. List the different primitive data types. Write down a Java program to initialize variables of different data types. Thank you.